Alright, overview. Standard 1 of the TESOL technology standards states language teachers identify and evaluate technological resources and environment for suitability to their teaching context. In line with the standard, identifying and evaluating resources and environment is the general topic of Unit 2. Relevant resources can include courseware, online materials for teachers, online materials for students, and resources for connecting teachers and students. The focus here is not to the resources themselves. Later unit will provide a lot of examples for English language learning and some for other languages as well. Okay, identifying resources. Finding suitable resources is not an easy task despite the increasingly large amount available for English and other commonly taught language. Dedicated resource tools designed specifically for language learning, both free and commercial bound, to locate the desired materials on the web. Good searching skills are needed. For example of search that can be used is you can look at on my group PPT.
Okay, identifying environments. Okay, the first is the overall technology environment. The technology environment encompasses both local and online settings with the emerging mobile environment incorporating elements of both. The local environment includes institutional settings, home settings, mobile options like MP3 players, smartphones, and tablets, as well as libraries or internet cafe near institution or student homes. The local environment consists of a number of factors. Okay, the first one is the hardware resource available. Computer, other digital devices such as MP3 players, audio and video recorders, peripherals like printer and scanner, and so on. Okay, the second one is the software tools. Applications such as word processors, communication application, audio and video recording software, and media player. Okay, the next is openness to the internet, including bandwidth. Okay, so download speed can vary depending on the number of users and in some cases local connectivity as well, and in some places students may need to pay for access. Okay, and the last is accessibility, availability of institutional and online resources. Okay, number two is the online environment. Okay, so the online environment has some of these consideration plus some additional one. Okay, the first is delivery formats. Okay, for example, like audio and video material may require players capable of handling Adobe Flash, Windows Media, Real Media, or Apple QuickTime. Okay, the next is free or fee. Online materials and applications vary as to cost. Some are provided free and hosted by institution or author, but some are hosted by open source communities. Some are hosted by individuals or companies that use advertising to provide income. Some have both free and fee version, and some are only available for fee, usually on subscription basis. Okay, the next is security. Security and safety are issues at any time online for both students and teacher. However, in addition to the normal precaution, there is a question of what information the sites may be collecting on student and how student privacy is being assured. On some free sites, especially, personal information may be collected and a non-exclusive right to the student work may be a condition for use. Alright, the next is uptime and downtime. It is important for online sites to be available when you need it. In some case, sites may go offline for hours or days or even disappear altogether. So it's a good idea to have alternative ready. Okay, and the last is speed. Although this seems to be changing for the better, sometimes popular free educational sites may be slow during the school day. Okay, the third is the mobile environment. Okay, so the rise of smartphone and tablet has revolutionized the learning environment, allowing for anytime, anywhere access to apps. So apps on mobile can be this best program for vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation review, or mobile version of social networking sites for communication and social interaction.
The next is framework fundamentals. Framework fundamentals consist the three modules. The first is development, the second evaluation, and the last implementation. The three modules development, evaluation, implementation are short core components inspired by Richards and Rodgers, 1982. In each case, their original components are adapted, interpreted, and supplemented to include the reality of the computer as the interface between the teachers or developer and materials and the learner. Okay, the next is the evaluation module. The evolution of educational courseware involves a 4K description. The first is understanding the courseware. It's essential to comprehend the functionality and features of the courseware before forming judgments. This can be challenging as we tend to evaluate it as soon as we start interacting with it. And the second is operational description. Operational description is to evaluate course where objectively start with an operational description focusing on procedural elements. This entails examining how the software operates in terms of procedures and functions. And the third is design elements or learning fits. Evaluate how well the design elements, such as language difficulty, program difficulty, and contents, align with the needs and characteristic of the students you are evaluating for. And the last is approach elements or teachers of it. Consider the assumptions about language and learning embedded in the software. Evaluate how compatible these assumptions are with the teachers' perspective and teaching approach. Determine the type of teaching the software is likely to provide.
Extending the model to other resources. In a more recent paper, Hubert 2011, I have extended the presenting model to the web more generally. That is, to resources binders that have a clearly tutorial component, while Levy's tutor or tool framework still has value in describing the application themselves. In the case of tools and resources in particular, for example, discussion boards, email programs, media players, social networking sites, learning management systems, or repositories of authentic audio and video, and extract. The key is how they are used for language learning, the activities and tasks that are put upon them. The methodological framework in its original form is not a perfect fit. Operational description, for example, will not include input judgment and feedback in non-tutorial materials, but others components such as screen layout, types of input, accept, help option, and so on, still need to be addressed. Teacher's fit and learner fit similarly remain relevant whatever the source is utilities. It should be done in a way consistent with your assumption of how language are learned with the curricular objective and student characteristic taken into account as well. Additionally, the mobile revolution of the past few years has brought tutorial call back into the mainstream. There are numerous mobile apps for individual skills, for example, notably vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar, as well as multi-skill apps like Duolingo. Russell Aguilar 2017, see below, among others, has revised evolution with a new look at the dimension mobility brings. Alternatives. The methodological approach I present here has proved useful the years, but there are at least two other approaches that deserve mention, especially once we begin to look beyond tutorial call. First, despite some of the limitation and biases the check-in checks, they have persisted over the years. In fact, the methodological framework above may be rather awkward to use in its raw form, and translating it into a checklist format for a specific combination of teacher fit and learner fit consideration. For example, representative of a teacher's own language learning approach, course design, and student characteristic, for example, provides a practical intention of its intent. Readers and Background 2015 have produced an interesting checklist-style framework for mobile learning or MOOC apps and tasks based heavily in a socio-cultural perspective. Another general approach that of building a framework on theoretical principle derived for SLA research in seeing in the work of Kepo 2001. She identifies 6 general evaluation criteria usable not only for software but more board for call tasks. Learning language, learning potential, meaning focused learner fit, authentic impact, and practically. It is important to note that these criteria are relevant for the board judgment proposed and for evaluating outcomes in line with the latter. Another TESOL technology standard, Goal 3, Standard 3, references the need to evaluate specific students' uses of technology for effectiveness. Unlike the methodological framework, which was developed originally for courseware evaluation and requires some addition to accommodate other types of call activities, Keppel's framework was designed for what she refers to more generally as call tasks, encompassing a broader set of options. GB SON 2005 has offered criteria especially for the evaluation of website, in particular the notion of authority.
Okay, in this topic there are 8 important points. Number 1 is development, evaluation, and implementation are interconnected processes when creating supportable call materials, tasks, and activities. Jadi, pengembangan, evaluasi, dan implementasi merupakan proses yang saling berhubungan ketika membuat materi, tugas, dan kegiatan call yang dapat didukung. Point 2 is implementation considerations become crucial when determining how to best use available software. Jadi, pertimbangan implementasi menjadi penting ketika menentukan cara terbaik menggunakan perangkat lunak yang tersedia. Point 3 is important implementation questions include the learning environment, necessary training, follow-up activities, and the balance of control between teachers and learners. Jadi, pertanyaan implementasi yang penting mencakup lingkungan belajar, latihan yang diperlukan, kegiatan tindak lanjut, dan keseimbangan kendali antara guru dan peserta didik. Point 4 is computer exercises can take place in various settings, including classrooms, labs, or even on personal devices like mobile phones. Jadi, latihan komputer dapat dilakukan di berbagai tempat, termasuk ruang kelas, laboratorium, atau bahkan di perangkat pribadi seperti ponsel. Point 5 is it's essential to link computer exercises to the overall course, ensuring compatibility in terms of content, level, and approach to other course materials. Jadi penting untuk menghubungkan latihan komputer dengan keseluruhan kursus, memastikan kompatibilitas dalam hal konten, level, dan pendekatan terhadap materi kursus lainnya. Point 6 is core activities can be supplementary or complementary to traditional classroom instruction, required or optional while still providing value. Jadi kegiatan call dapat menjadi tambahan atau pelengkap terhadap pengajaran di kelas tradisional, wajib atau opsional, namun tetap memberikan nilai. Point 7 is instructors should ensure that learners understand the connections between computer work and the rest of the course. Jadi instruktur harus memastikan bahwa peserta memahami hubungan antara pekerjaan komputer dan seluruh kursus. And the last point is, for a more detailed exploration of implementation components, readers can refer to Hubbard in 1996. Jadi untuk eksplorasi komponen implementasi lebih detail, pembaca dapat merujuk pada Hubbard in 1996. Okay, next is provides various resources and tools for evaluation educational technology and software. Number 1 is Calico's Learning Technology Review Guidelines over a structured framework for evaluating apps and online learning tools, building on a methodological approach. Number 2, Susan Geer's Guide for Using Software is aimed at the adult ESL classroom and provides guidance on software evaluation. And number 3 is Deborah Haley and Norm Johnson's A Place to Start in Selecting Software offers valuable insights into selecting suitable software for educational purposes. Number 4 is the ICT for LT evaluation form. Available as a downloadable document, can be used to assess technology-enhanced language learning resources. Number 4 is for those interested in. Number 5 is for those interested in mobile learning. Russell Aguilar's taxonomy and evaluation framework provide a specialized approach.